Hello students, let's read this problem together. An initial deposit of $4,000 is made into a savings account with an annual 20% compound interest rate. How much money is in the account at the end of 3 years? So once again, our question says, how much money is in the account at the end of 3 years? So in this question, they have said we are working with compound interest, so we're going to get our compound interest formula, which is A equals P times 1 plus R to the power of T, where A is the total amount at the end, P is the principal amount at the start, R is our annual interest rate in decimal form, and T is the time in years. So let's go ahead and put our formula so we can fill in or substitute our known information. So we have A, which is equal to P, which is our principal, and our principal is $4,000 times 1 plus the rate, and our rate is 20%. So 20% is 20 out of 100, which is 0.20. So our rate is 0.2. Remember, we can drop our percent and then move the decimal 2 spaces to the left, and that leaves us with 0.20. But 0.20 and 0.2 is exactly the same thing, so we can actually put 0.2 to the power of T, and T is the number of years, and T is 3 years. So now I have A equals 4,000 times 1.2 to the power of 3. So that exponent is the first thing I have to solve. So I have to solve what is 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2. 1.2 to the power of 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to start with 1.2 times 1.2. That's going to give me, if I know 12 times 12, I should know what that's going to give me. 144, but there's a decimal. So there's 2 numbers, 1 in each factor, that are behind a decimal. So in my answer, 2 of those numbers have to be behind a decimal. So we have 1.44 right now, but we still have to multiply times the other 1.2. So 1.44 times 1.2. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. We put our placeholder. And then 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 1. And so 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry 1. 6 and 1 is 7. And 1. And this time we have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So 1, 2, 3. And our decimal is going to go in between the 1 and the 7. So 1.2 to the power of 3 gave us 1.728. And we still have to multiply that times 4,000 to get the total at the end. So now I'm going to multiply 1.728 times 4,000. We have 0, 0, 0, 0. We're multiplying by 0 again. Now I'm going to put 2 placeholders because I'm done with those 2 zeros and I'm on the third 0, but I'm going to get all zeros again. And now I can put 3 placeholders because I'm done with the third zero and I'm working with the 4 now. So 8 times 4 is 32. We carry 3. 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 is 11. Carry 1. 7 times 4 is 28. And we add 1 that we carry. That's 29. We carry 2. 4 times 1 is 4. And 2 more is 6. And we're going to add up all these rows, which is basically going to give us what we have in the last row, because everything else were zeros. But we got to count our decimal places. And we have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal. So 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal. So my decimal is going to go right there. So the amount at the end is equal to $6,912. You don't need to put the zeros at the end, but if you want to, you can put 0.00. It's up to you. Okay, so now we can look back at our question again. How much money is in the account at the end of 3 years? So at the end, A is the total amount at the end. So at the end of 3 years, the account has $6,912. That's what we figured out. So let's find our matching answer would be D, $6,912. Good. Okay, so we have a second part to this problem. And the second question says, how much interest was generated in those 3 years? So we know that A is the amount that the account had at the end of 3 years. So that was the total at the end. We also know that P, the principal, was $4,000. And that was at the beginning. So the interest would be the amount that was added. So let's write it like this. At the end, he had 6,900. So the principal, 4,000, plus the interest amount that was accumulated in 3 years, totaled $6,912. Okay, so the principal, $4,000, and the interest that was added on for those 3 years totaled $6,912. But we only want to know what was the interest amount. So we have to figure out what I is. So we can subtract the $4,000. And remember, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side of an equation. And so 4,000 minus 4,000 is 0, so I'm left with I, which is for interest. And on this side, we have 2 minus 0, 1 minus 0, 9 minus 0, and 6 minus 4, which is 2. So the interest is $2,912. That is the difference between the beginning of the account and the end of the account. And that is the amount that was added for interest. So our question was, how much interest was generated in 3 years? It's $2,912 was the interest generated in 3 years.